Do you want to learn how you accrue karma and how you accrue dharma? Stay tuned for this video. It may be a long one, but it's worth sticking around if you're interested to find out how to do it, how to balance your spiritual bank account. If you're not into spirituality, this video is not for you. If you believe there's a greater architect, then stick around. First, let's define the terms dharma and karma. Dharma is doing the right thing at the right moment. That's what right is. Dharma. Karma is when you decided not to do the right thing, then karma accumulates. It's checks and balances in your spiritual bank account, if you will. This whole reality is created by a great architect. You can call it whatever you'd like. I don't think that matters for what I'm trying to get across. Reality, which is what I'm going to call it here, consciousness, God, all that is, again, doesn't matter what we call it. Reality is balance. That's all it is. It's equilibrium. If you look at your body cares about equilibrium, just like it cares about alkalinity and acidity. It always looks to equalize. Are you ever completely balanced? No, you're not. The body is always fighting and you have no idea what's happening within you. So can you imagine what's happening out here as a player within the system? So what is your role here on this reality? Based on my thinking and based on what I found is that just like your body is and the cells within it and the organs within it are interested in equalizing the ecosystem, the biology of our body, of what is considered Sarit, for example, reality wants to balance itself also. And there are a lot of parts, a lot of actors in reality, right? So when you think about that, reality has to use what is available to it, what it has created in order to balance homeostasis, equilibrium. Well, how does it do that? And that's where we're going to go into details for this. What the Parasite reveals essay that's available on my Substack if you want to read it instead. But I'm going to embellish a little bit from some points that I want to bring up. So a lot of people think that parasites are actually like, if you think about a tick, it's a parasite. But lately, they've been talking about, say, narcissists. They refer to a narcissist, some people, as a parasite. Well, a parasite is actually not an organism. If you look at taxonomy of insects and bugs and just living organisms, there is no such taxonomy as a parasite. Within parasitism, which is a relationship, you have different types of parasites. You have protozoa, you have worms, you have fungi, you have plants that are parasitic in relation. You have some bacteria, you have, believe it or not, humans can be parasitic. The cuckoo bird is parasitic. Well, it's a bird, yes, taxonomically it's a bird, but what do you mean by parasite? Parasite is a parasitic relationship of something plus something else. There's a relationship that is born or emerges out of that interaction. That's a parasite. A parasite refers to the relationship between two subjects. So if you think about a parasite, what does it actually do? It goes and finds a host. It does not create its own home. It does not provide its own nutrients. It actually extracts all of those things from the host itself. So we have a host, we have the environment in which the host is in, right? It could be a human, it could be a nest, for example. Could be anything, it could be a plant, a garden, like I mentioned. So you have the host, that which is robbed of something, and then you have the environment in which the host resides in or lives in or operates in. And then you have the parasite or the thing itself that steals from the host. Again, it could be a worm, it could be another human being, right? It could be a virus, for example. It could be, like I said, worms. But now that we've understand it's a three-party relationship that parasitism can come from. So now we have to ask, okay, so if you have parasitic relationships, what causes them? And by the way, if you read my article, I give several examples where I talk about sports. I talk about AI, the human AI relationship. I talk about lovers relationship, right? Love relationships where the narcissist has been used quite often. Why does that happen? Because some people will say, well, we don't need parasites. We don't need those types of organisms that extract. Well, I beg to differ, and nature doesn't make any mistakes. Reality knows exactly what it's doing. It creates everything needed for the day of travel. What does that mean? That means that a parasite is there to equalize something that lacks boundaries. If you have someone that just gives and gives and gives and gives, the parasite is there, the narcissist is there, the colleges are there, right, to extract from the players. The parasite is there to show the host that either their environment is not properly protected or they themselves lack boundaries. So parasites are not benevolent. They're not, I mean, we could argue whether they're benevolent or not, but they're required. They're a strategy that reality uses to equalize things, just like it does in the body. If you think about your gut, you have good bacteria and you have bad bacteria. Well, good and bad are just terms we humans use to describe something. But that's such a limited viewpoint because good or bad is in myopic view. It's just this local area. Whereas reality looks at things holistically, collectively. And again, having said that, parasites are needed. They're needed to equalize it, to equalize what the host is missing. Because parasitism or parasitic relationships are just a strategy to survive, a strategy to survive reality. If you look at a cuckoo bird, for example, it finds existing nests for other birds, removes the eggs, lays its own eggs, and has the other bird raise its own babies. That should make you wonder, right? Why would God create such a thing? Why would reality create such a thing? Because it's required to balance the equation. So why do some people get narcissists all the time, for example? Because the host, the other partner, has an issue with boundaries. They may speak, they may talk, they have a hard time defining boundaries of what they will or will not accept. Again, going back to my article, you'll see I use several different examples where this happens, but I want to end with this. In the Bible, I think a yoke is probably described, I think, over 60 times or so. Don't quote me on that. It's been a while. But in the Bible, it talks about a yoke. And a yoke is a representation of equilibrium. Back in the day, in agricultural days, they used to use oxes, two oxes, which are the beast of burden, if you will, to plow the land. Later, some of the characters in the Bible talked about a yoke as being unequal when it comes to a king and his servants or relationships. It's used over and over and over again to describe a relationship that must be equal. If you have a yoke, if you go back to some of my other videos, I talk about the Vesica Pisces, which is quantum entanglement in human language. You have two circles, two relationship, two individuals that have entered a relationship. If it becomes uneven, and yes, people have hard times sometimes, it's understandable if someone falls ill for the other to pick up. It doesn't talk about individual moments. It talks about collectively in that relationship. Are you a parasite or not? Do you take more than your fair share? Do you give more than your fair share? Are we supposed to sit there and do percentages of how much I've put in or how many times I've done the laundry? No, I don't think that's what it means. I think collectively it's about what is the ultimate balance, just like the body goes to alkalinity and acidity, depending on what you eat. But if you eat terrible for, you know, months at a time or years at a time, you know, something has to give. There has to be pressure mediation. So the equality is that important. And in my essay, I talk about how people equalize these relationships, these parasitic relationships. If it's a marriage, if it's a relationship, a love relationship, a third party um, therapist may join. And the therapist may help assist them see that and equalize the relationship again. Other cases, for example, there's safe college football laws that are trying to be passed where the colleges are extracting more values than the players are actually getting. It's been happening for quite some time. What third party is being used? Legal. Legal is a third party mechanism for equalizing. I mean, it's the symbol of equal, the scale, right? I did leave one out, and the one that I left out is reality itself. Reality is the final arbiter of whether you have behaved in an equal manner with your relationships throughout your life. Something as small as a cashier packing your groceries is a thank you there to equalize the work. When you read an article and you extract value from it, it moves you here or it moves you in your mind. Do you leave something behind to say thanks? Do you pass it forward? Those are all small ways in the chain of karma that you are leaving behind, because everywhere we go, we leave a fingerprint of what we are and what we have become. So every time you extract some kind of value from someone that may look like a stranger, that's being tracked. There is an accounting that occurs. And this is not fear based, this is simply the game. The game is if everything is an organism and the earth itself is an organism, an ecosystem, very much like we are, then logic would say, just like the body, if you eat, let's think, if you eat too much acidic food, you may um, limit your magnesium absorption, for example, right? Or calcium absorption because you're eating something that depletes. Every time you eat a lot of carbs, you deplete a particular essential element. Well, guess what happens? Your body will go and rob that from somewhere else. It'll go rob it from your bones. You end up with osteoporosis. You can read scientific papers on this. This is already proven. There's always a robbing of a Peter to pay Paul. That is the equilibrium. So think of those little moments where, you know, uh, you go to a restaurant and you don't tip, for example, and then you end up having to have a tire changed. I don't know who this is for, if it's for anyone, but why? That's reality's way of balancing the equation. So then what happens to the waiter that didn't get the tip? I happen to think that they get their dues from someone else down the line, where instead of tipping 20, the person all of a sudden tips 50. That was to make up for you. But you were extracted by having to change that particular tire. I know this is completely different than other people have said, and I may get some heat for this, and that's okay. That's okay. I want to hear what you have to say. And if you received any value from this video or not, leave a comment below. Challenge it. Tell me how I'm wrong. But that's karma. Karma is paying your dues or not paying your dues. There's always a delta, and even a non-decision is a decision. So every time you walk through life, behaving, animating, being you as you think you are leaving a fingerprint behind. Let me know what you think. Leave your comments below, like, share, subscribe, or don't do anything. Thanks for watching.